Good morning. How are we today? Is everybody okay? Hello. You all right, Vicky? Hi, Sue. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Pamela.
Morning.
Good morning. Hi, Caroline. Nice to have you in today. Did you manage to catch up, Caroline? Yeah.
No.
You've had a busy weekend.
Well, I'll catch up in the week.
Yeah.
That's what I did last time. I caught up on the Monday.
Yeah.
So I was still doing two together, but doing it the wrong way around.
Yeah, it's all right. It's fine. It'll all make sense, I'm sure. I'm like so following the feminine flow at the moment. So I'm like, oh, right, that dropped in this morning. Oh, we're doing that then. And so, yeah, I've kind of, yeah, I've got a loose plan that always shifts and moves and changes. Um, and that's, yeah, that's all good. I'm sure that everything that we need is going to be right here with us. So, yeah, lovely. Um, Not everyone's in yet, but if anybody's got any questions or anything around like what we maybe haven't covered, or you think, I feel like that's missing and I need to cover that, then obviously let me know. And we can cover that because it is an interactive space, and so everybody, is welcome. And because I think because we're in a group container as well, there's always, it's an alchemy for us all. So all of our questions are really, really relevant, even if they feel silly. But like everything's welcome, and we're alchemizing ourselves. So, this is part of the process.
Off asking a question.
You got love? Yeah.
Morning, everybody. I was wondering if you could recommend any books, because there's, the little stories that you tell that are sort of related to postures, and I absolutely love them, and I know my ladies do. Can you recommend any books or where you get them from, or?
So, well, it's part of my training at the moment. It's been coming
Right.
in through the training really at the moment. And funnily enough, that this is my project for next year, is to create a book with it.
Oh, wow.
That is part of a project that I'm going to do. But it is part of a training. What I would say is with that is that again, it's dependent really on what it is you're wanting to create, because as you'll know as a yoga teacher, every posture holds a lot of different energy and different intention.
Yeah.
There's like 20,000, I think, different variations of a posture, something like that. One of the things that I would say through my own yoga journey is that I've always had an awareness that these are not just postures. It's not just about strengthening the glutes, the abs. It's not about that.
Yeah.
They have a lineage with them. They all have a story with them. So, for example, if I was to look at tree pose, for example, and we know that the root of yoga comes through people observing nature mainly, that those first postures were really also about allowing the body to be able to sit for periods of time. That's what it was for, to go from the hips and stuff. But if we were to, because in the trainings that I offer, and Sue, I'm sure will testify to this, is about self-transformation as well. And through my own lineage, because obviously I trained with Drew Yoga, which was that's what that is. That's what it was about. That every posture holds a tool within it, holds a gift within it for you. And again, I think as we're moving into this more energetic way of being, every posture will have something different in it for everybody as well.
Yeah.
So how I've worked with that and how I've created, I've done it as well, is that I've, worked with the posture. Say, for example, it might be, well, let's take tree pose, for example. Tree pose is going to teach us more about who we are, because tree pose is going to, if we look at a tree in nature, again, we come back to this nature connection. A tree is going to show us at the moment it's time to let go of stuff. And if we were to link that to a teaching theme, we might talk about a tree. We might invite, a story about a tree. and you might work with that. You might be great at storytelling, and you might be great at, I think the thing with the storytelling is that what often happens, and I think this is quite a big thing, and I think this is something probably we're going to end up covering anyway, is that depending what our root is, my root being I am wrong, we often doubt ourselves a lot on, you know, we've got to teach it this way, this is the right way, this is how we should do it, and this. But there's also like another way that, as long as it's safe, obviously we don't want to be injuring anybody, but as long as it's safe, we can lend our own individuality to that. So my experience with Sheree is that I'm an ADHDer. It helps me to focus. It helps me to, you know, bring my nervous system actually into regulation, tree pose. But it also shows me more of who I am. So it shows me where I'm hanging on to things like the monkey, and where I'm allowing myself to let go. So we might then apply that to a story. So we might add that to, say, for example, a woman, you know, the woman who allows autumn to end, you know, I don't know, thinking about it. So you might do that. I love Chat GPT because chat, you can put anything into chat.
Yeah.
Thing with chat, and I know it's demonized, don't use AI and all this stuff, but if you put into chat what your idea is, I want to create a story in my language, in my words, around a woman letting go that I can apply to tree pose. So you break it down, say exactly what it is that you want, and chat will give you back either guidelines to write your own story, or it will give you a story, or whatever it is that you want to do. So the more that you do work with chat, the more it starts to know who you are and what your work is about. And I actually, you know, I don't demonize AI. I did do at the beginning, but I think the more conscious AI becomes, the better for us all.
Yeah.
The more that conscious people are putting their energy into it, the more it's gonna, you know, also give us back. So you know, you can pretty much create anything you want in there. I mean, it is such an amazing tool, but the but with that is, and I say this to all of my students, you've got to do your work first.
Yeah.
You have got to know what it is. You've got to know it yourself. You've got to experience it, and you've got to embody it, rather than putting it into chat and going to chat, show me who I am, because you already know who you are. And if you're going into intuitive flow, chat can really help, because you can say, right, this is coming up this morning, I want to cover this, how can I cover it in this way, in the way that I teach? Like, I wanted to add more tantra to my teachings, so I am learning that, but I'm also embodying it, and then I can also, you know, ask chat to help me a little bit with that. Now, what I find with that also, what I think with chat is, it doesn't tell you who you are. It actually reflects back the power of who you are, actually. Because where you might hide yourself a bit and go, I dare say that, or I dare say that, chat's going to go, no, let's go there, let's do this.
Right.
Because you are so capable of it. And it's really, really interesting if you use it in a way that supports and, you know, does help. It can take a lot of work out of your work as well. So you know, if you want to, I don't know, so you're still using your creativity, because what's rising for me is I want to teach tree pose, and I want it to have a story, and I want it to have a beautiful intention, and I want affirmations, and I want all to go with it. And then you can then, you know, in whatever way, but the more you put in of who you are and what it is you want to share through that, the more it can give you back that which, you know, which, and this, it can work obviously for your circles, it can work for everything. But I think the thing is, you need to know what, you know, again, we don't take the eye off the community or what is rising energetically for me. and let someone else have free rein with that, we're going, this is definitely needs covering this week in yoga, or give me a few ideas, or it's like having a member of staff. It can be like having a member of staff if you allow it to be that. Some people are just close to it and they just don't want it, and that's completely okay. I totally was, but I believe there is a way, a balance between still being yourself and being your authentic self and allowing a support system. Now, one of the main things that came up for me during my resistance to using chat or AI was I'm being lazy. That was one of my main resistances. I'm being lazy, and it should be hard work, otherwise it's not authentic, right? So that's been one of my resistances to it. So I've now had to do the work on where am I allowing myself to receive, because actually chat is a little bit like Google. It has got a wealth of knowledge that is so vast and so huge that you can learn so much more and apply so much more to it, to your own work as well, in a really authentic way, because you're obviously putting in what's rising for you in this moment. So you can, and I think there are, people use it as therapy. I don't think that's probably the way to go, but some people use it as therapy, as a therapist, and sometimes you might just be stuck on something and you might want a solution to something, and it can be really supportive. I have nothing against it, is what I'm saying. So is it
an app?
It's a bit like Google, to be honest, ChatGPT. It's a bit like Google. You start to create a relationship with it, basically. And I can't remember. I think you can put into it somewhere about who you are, really. And Pamela's added a book as well. And
I just saw that. Thank you.
Look. So again, you can, it's a bit like Google. In fact, Google's powered by AI now anyway, so Google will also give you that, you can get that too. So yeah, there is a couple of books. I bet you've put it in, actually, the one that I've got, actually, Pamela. Let me just have a look. Is it?
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, I haven't seen that one, actually. Lovely.
Yeah, I think that.
So for me, in my work, what I want to happen with yoga and circles as well, really, is that, the thing is that when you've got a person in a nervous system regulation, and we're in those lower brainwave states where we are open to suggestion, which we are when we're in yoga or relaxation or, any of those spaces, then we can add in this empowerment work very easily. We can add in affirmations to postures. We can, so my feeling is, and especially in things like yin, the yin and restorative, people are in a still, calm, quiet space where you can apply, you are enough, or, you have done enough, you are enough, you've given enough. So we can start subliminally adding these suggestions to the work that we do, rather than it being all head. And I believe this is the way forward for yoga, to be honest. I believe this is feminine form. It's rather than, because for many of us, and and I've been the same with this as well, we teach from head. We know what the posture does, we know what muscles it strengthens, we all this stuff. For many of us, if you've been teaching for years, which I can be completely open and say I got bored of it. I just got bored teaching it that way. I wanted to add something new to it. I just got completely bored. Does this, that does that, like, how can this be taken a bit deeper and become more individual and become more, this idea of being individual is a longing to be you, right? And I can honestly say that for many years of teaching, I was not being who I am. I was being who they wanted me to be, who the class
Exactly, yeah. I
had to teach in a way that went that way for them, and it wasn't about me being me. And I'm still finding me. I'm still on that journey, and I always will be. I hope I always will be. But the more, you know, I love stories, and I believe that that's part of the feminine, isn't it? Because you know, if you know, I mean, this is why I love archetypes and all this sort of work, because if the you know, we know if we go back to we only need to go back to grandmother wisdom and remember, you know, being told a story at bedtime. Like, we are so open. And what happens with story as well, I learned, is that we have something called the critical faculty barrier, which is a brain thing that goes, oh, that's not true. So if we say to ourselves, I am a millionaire, right? I'm going to say that I'm a millionaire. My critical faculty is going to be going, fuck off. You ain't a millionaire. However, if I was to lay down and be told a story about how it feels to be living in abundance, in flow, you know, where everything comes to me no matter what, I become a millionaire in my energy field, and that is way more important.
Law of attraction.
Exactly. And so this is really, for me, the importance of storytelling, because when we are being told a story, well, not even affirmation really, but more of a mantra, what happens is it gets underneath the critical faculty barrier, and it goes, and again we go, you know, because, you know, if you've been told a story, you're going to relax because it's so deep in you to relax. Even, you know, I can remember being at school as a little one, and it's story time. It always was so exciting. Well, for me anyway, it was always so exciting to be in story time. And I believe also the thing with storytelling is it allows us also to relax, because it is a natural, you know, it's a natural feeling when we've been told a story, is actually to sit back and relax, because either we would have been told stories when we were in bed, we might have been told stories in break time at school, you know. So these are natural. This is why I think storytelling needs to come back, because it is grandmother wisdom, it's folkloric wisdom, it's how wisdom was passed, you know, like I was saying at the beginning. Anything that's written down is frozen in time, but a story is timeless. It's timeless, and it's something that is, I don't know, it's a gift. I think it's a gift, and it is. We all have that gift of storytelling. Every one of us have told a story, I'm sure, at some time, whether it is a drama story, whether it is a victim story, you know. We live our life by story.
Yeah, we all have a story.
We all have stories.
When I did my teacher training years ago, 10 years ago now, I trained with the British Wheel, and I'm so grateful for the training I got. It was amazing. You know, it took me 3 years to do everything, but they only taught me how to teach yoga safely. The postures, like you said,
which you need.
Which we need, because people's bodies are different. But they didn't really teach me how. I've had to learn all this other stuff, sort of affirmations and adding other stuff. But the storytelling really resonates with me, because when I do teach, I'm a little bit like you. I don't sort of have a plan. I have a plan, a guideline, but I can stick to it, or might not stick to it. I teach intuitively and sort of channel. And whatever comes up for me in a posture, I will relate that to them. And I know
you're already doing it.
I can't I know that they won't feel the same as what I feel, but what I'm feeling in a kind of certain posture, I'll try and explain in that, and I'll say my body, I feel this on my energy, I'll feel this. But I just think, like you say, with stories, for me, I've always been a little bit like, I believe what you can't see, like fairies and
And your air element, so that's going to be natural.
Yes,
well.
yeah. So no, that's really helpful because and the books, the suggestions, but I'll try that GPT, whatever.
And trust yourself as well. Trust yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're channeling already, the stories are probably already there.
Yeah.
If you do feel like you need that bit of help to give you some ideas, some guidance, chat is a brilliant, I think.
I'll try it.
And I don't use it all the time, but it's certainly been helping me a lot in this new way because it's giving me, you know, also ideas and inspiration as well. So it does that as well. So it might, you know, you might just put in, can you give me an idea around, I don't know, telling a story around a feverfew.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Pamela. And
I believe this, you know, again, if we come back to this grandmother wisdom, a circle is an ancient tradition, and oral tradition is the way we learned. It was always the way we learned. You can read a book, but you listen to a teacher teaching. It's a direct transmission. It's a different energy. I remember, I probably said that last time. I remember doing a whole training. We weren't allowed to take notes. We just had to absorb it. She would not allow us to. She said, just absorb it. Don't be disassociated from what has been transmitted here by, you can all write things down, mind you, but I'm not saying you can't. But in that particular training, we weren't allowed to. And I would say I probably absorbed a hell of a lot more than I would have done looking in books, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, lovely. So loads has come up for me, and I don't know about you lot. I'm hoping it has for you. And I want to do a little bit of sharing and possibly some coaching as well around stuff if anything's come up. But there's a few things that I want to cover today. And I'll just say it now because it might come up next time that we're together. I'm going to do a bit more on the kind of, you know, the nuts and bolts stuff. So don't worry too much if you're going, oh well, she didn't cover you know, talking sticks, or she didn't cover this and that, because I'm going to do that next time. But I want to share something with you though, and I'll share it now because one of the ladies on my retreat bought me this, and it's so beautiful for circles. It looks like a bit of a tea towel, and it's by the lady Carolyn Hillier. You might have heard of her. She's based in Devon, but it's called A Sister Blanket, a charter of woman kindness, a reminder of intent, comfort, or of words to wrap around our circle. And it's got all these words on it. So kindness, honor, respect, acceptance, compassion. It's got all these lovely words on it, and then like a phrase that goes with each one. And we just passed it around the circle, and everybody, you know, picks a word, and honestly, it was so beautiful. So I'll see if I can find the link for it. Carolyn Hillier, she's done an amazing like crone archetype deck, like really powerful oracle deck as well. So she does some great work. It's seventhwavemusic.co.uk. It is seventhwavemusic.co.uk. I don't have a clue how much they are, but it was such a lovely gift in our circle to pass that around. And you know, you could do that, or you might even pass around a little book or something, you know, like I think that's a really nice thing, because again, it creates that cohesion, that everybody's energy comes together. So I thought that was really nice. All right, so Cacao's probably gone cold. Well,
sorry everyone.
Don't apologize, honestly, it's always relevant, you know, everything's always relevant, so yeah, don't worry at all. So we're going to drop into just a gentle meditation again on presence. I want to keep coming back to this because presence is the, as well as love and acceptance and all of the mother energy, but presence is your greatest tool when you're holding space. To be present with what is, without trying to change it, without judging it, without it being wrong. And I'm going to share a couple of things and this afternoon as well around, we're going to be covering this morning. I want to do a little bit about opening space, closing space. I'm going to cover the flow of connection. We're going to do some journaling. £9, is that all it is? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I definitely would get that in your basket, girls, because it is beautiful for your circles. It's so lovely, even for yourself actually, and just, you know, just to open that up and have a look at it each day. We're going to do a little bit about oracle cards as well, which I know some of you will have, you know, will already do. And, you know, some of this stuff, for those of you that have done training before, you're going to have done it before, you're going to be, you know, you do it all the time. But, you know, there might be some different things that you pick up through. I'm sure there will be. But when we, I want to do a little bit about masculine, feminine as well today, because that came up this morning. So I want to just do a little bit around how we, like if we were to go into our basement a bit, how the masculine and feminine sits, what did we learn around that? So I'm going to cover that as well. What's also come up for me is, you know, this idea that our family are our greatest teachers. Our kids, those of us that have them, are always the greatest teachers. And mine have certainly been pushing all my trigger buttons just lately. Oh, wow, have they ever? And so I want to share a little bit about that. And again, because if we can, again, allow the space for people to, and women and men and children, however that is, to find their own way, to understand on a cellular level that everybody has their own blueprint, and there is nothing that we need to do. We don't need to take it on board. It's not our fault. But they have got a blueprint that they were born into this lifetime with, and it is up to them to find their way back home. We can guide for sure. Is this breaking up a bit? I keep looking like I'm freezing. We can guide and we can be there for sure. But the teachings around kids, our own kids, often are the greatest teachers that you'll have in space holding, because I would say for those of you that have kids, and you know, maybe not, maybe you have people that are close to your nieces, nephews, or whatever, but to allow them the space wherever they're at to grow, to learn, to observe, to be there when they invite you to be there, rather than trying to fix it and change it and make it better and make it easier. This is really, I think, one of the greatest gifts of a space holder. And the medicine woman prayer that I shared is really part of that. And I'm going to cover that a bit more this afternoon. I'm going to share with you a letter that I sent to my kids this week, to both of them. And I also want us all to, you know, again, if we've got kids that are off the rails, on the rails, you know, doing stuff that we maybe don't want them to do, then know that that is part of their blueprint. It's part of their blueprint. And, you know, again, there's nothing we can do until they are ready for that to be there. And then we'll be there like a shot. So just I don't know, that's been coming up this morning, and I just wanted to share that, because I would say one of the biggest things as a mother, personally anyway, is the blame and shame game, the guilt game. It's massive. So, and it's massive for mothers. Now, if we're holding that and carrying that in us, that's going to be present when we're holding space for others. So we're going to do a little bit of observation around that as well. I've put a note in the group today that I'm going to be covering suicide awareness, because it is something that I haven't covered before in circle holding, but is really important. And so if suicide awareness is something that is very close to you and it's too much, and you cannot sit through that, and it's too raw and it's too painful, please just step out. You know, I'll kind of introduce that as it comes up. We're going to be doing that this afternoon. But I think it is an important thing. I have considered suicide a few times myself through my life, and I know that, you know, that can be a big part of not having control, not being able to find control. You know, I can hold my hand up and say at quite a few occasions I have contemplated that. So, you know, and found help and support when I've needed it. But, you know, just having that awareness that many women will show up as been together, and, you know, often there is a story behind that too. So I want to cover that a little bit this afternoon as well, and we will go through all of the stuff that's coming up. So let's get our cacao in. Let's light our candles for ourselves first of all. And what I love about that is in one of Donna Ashworth's circles that I sat in, she shared that she runs dark, and I like that. I like that idea. I run dark too at times. I definitely run dark. So, you know, again, just being aware that that is part of who I am. That is part of who I am. And part of a path of growth as well, I believe. So, yeah, just being aware of that. Okay, so we're going to light our candles. And then again, if you've got some oil, we'll bring that in as well if you want to work with that too. And I'd like to open the space with a reading that I was going to share yesterday, and it's from A Woman's Blessing, and it is number 74. So just if you just bring your oil in, you can breathe it in, bring it down through your body, and again, just giving yourself a nice clearing. And then maybe we can just begin either with hands over heart. You might have one hand on your heart, one hand on your lower belly, on your womb space. And just taking 3 nice deep breaths for yourself. And again, just having a couple of moments to be present, to be in the space. Just allowing ourselves to be here fully. And again, you know, one of the great invitations really in circle space is that everything is welcome here. All of the bits we love about ourselves, but also all of the bits we don't like. So as we breathe down and in, and we allow our energy to drop down into our basement, into the dark areas of ourselves. We allow our roots to gently journey down deep into the earth. Again, just gently grounding our energy. We talked yesterday about grounding. So again, if it feels supportive for you, you can circle a little bit as well. So just circle in, and again, just closing down the eyes, just allowing ourselves to move away from distraction. So we invite in this sense of presence, really being present for ourselves in all that is here, all of the bits, you know, the dark bits, the light bits. Again, just letting your weight down. As we come into presence, one of the best ways to do that is actually to be with the body. To be embodied is a gift. To be with our body to allow ourselves to drop down and in. And maybe even though we're in our individual spaces, we can maybe just in our mind's eye feel ourselves in circle. We sit in a circle space. And we feel each other. Again, this beautiful awareness, I see you, I feel you. Our hearts are connected and we are one. So when we hurt ourselves, when we hurt each other, this ripples out. It ripples out to other women. So really it always starts with us. It always starts with being kind to ourselves. And when we're kind to ourselves, that ripples backwards and it ripples ahead of us. It ripples to the sides of us. And it allows everyone, all of the women, men, children, to feel the energy of that love that we have for ourselves. It is a vibration. A circle of women holding space, a rite of passage, to hold with breath, without judgment, comparison, or jealousy. It takes awareness, a love of self, and a connection to a higher source to understand that her decision is your decision. Her choice is your choice. Her way is yours, given the same circumstances. A circle of women holding space, a rite of passage, to hold her with respect, with compassion and love and protection, to have her back, to stand next to her as she fights to vibrate higher. For her triumph is yours too. Her sacred flow, a running river of love, is yours to bathe in also. So again, as you allow your energy to drop down and in, I just want you to feel into this idea of presence. If you are finding that you're flitting around all over the place, I come back to the power of Tejas to sit and stay with whatever is present in this moment. So rather than running around and being somewhere else, just allow yourself to sit and stay with yourself. Be with yourself. There's nowhere to get to. There's nothing to fix. So as we land in and down, and we offer to ourselves, I am present, I am open, I'm ready. And we're not distracting, we're not running away. We're sitting with, you are here, you are safe, and you are home. Watch each in-breath I arrive, and each out-breath I soften. What is present for me today? What is rising for me today? Again, how can I accept myself even more? How can I allow myself to be even more? So with your next in-breath, I'd like you to feel that you take up space. So just allow yourself to rise as if you've been gently drawn up through the crown of your head. with that beautiful golden thread that attaches to your soul star. Again, just feeling those beautiful energies of heaven and earth gather in the heart. We feel the heart cave as a sacred chamber, a place where we can always go to be with ourselves in this beautiful energy of alchemy, the alchemy of the heart. Love changes everything. Allow this beautiful space to invite a sense of acceptance. It's said that the heart, the vibration of love, is a transformer of everything. So we allow ourselves to be transformed, we allow ourselves to be enough, we allow ourselves to be more of who we are. Individual means a longing to be you. So I'm going to bring our cacao in, and again, just maybe as you bring your cacao to your heart, setting a beautiful intention for this day that will never come again, for our growth and our change and all those things are going to happen. And this, yes, this is a circle holder training, but it is also an alchemy of yourself, which is the most important thing. So as we bring our cacao to our heart space, again, feeling her warmth meeting your warmth. Feel her spirit, soft, ancient, and wise. Again, as we bring this beautiful, gentle medicine of our hearts, welcome into our space this beautiful energy of love, clarity, and connection. It's said that cacao is also the conduit to the goddess. So we have this beautiful medicine that is really taking us closer to the feminine, closer to who we came here to be. So we thank the earth that birthed her, the hands that tended her, the hearts gathered here in our sacred sisterhood, those here now and those that are not present, we welcome you into. So as we take our first sip and welcome the spirit of this beautiful being, again we lean back into the kitten energy, the energy of surrender, the energy of letting go and allowing our hearts to be guided, allowing ourselves to be guided. So again, coming back to that place of presence, are you present here and now in this space? Or are you distracted doing other things? Again, thinking other things, mind is off. Again, when we distract ourselves, this is an avoidance tactic. So just allowing yourself to be really present here and now, to sit and stay with, to be here now. And as we take our first sip again, maybe starting to feel into that energy of avoidance, running away from, being distracted by. Again, maybe just contemplating for a moment, what does it mean to be present with myself? Do I feel safe in my body? Do I feel safe to be present with myself? As you begin to feel the warmth of cacao just gently flooding into your body, inviting her to open up the spaces that are closed. Again, I think I said the first time, and she was most certainly here this morning. Goddess Kali comes with this medicine. She will sniff out all of those spaces that you were avoiding. She is the alchemist, and she is here. So again, as you take your cacao in a new level of presence, you know, this new places that we maybe have not entered into before, or maybe we've not entered for a long time. So we want to be sitting and staying with, as I said yesterday, what are our patterns? What kind of space holders are we going to be? Because if we can't be present here for ourselves, then we are not going to be present for anyone else, for sure. If we're getting distracted in sitting in our own space with ourselves, then we're going to be distracted, and we're not going to hold safe space for other people, for sure. And we're certainly not going to be holding any sort of alchemical space for others, empowerment space. Because all that energy is saying is, I'm not present, I'm over here, I'm more interested in this, I'm more interested in that, or this is coming up, or that's coming up. Or so the more we can be present, empty vessels for the energy to come through, the better that's going to be. My daily mantra is, I know nothing. I know nothing. And that allows me and invites me to be more baby kitten, more present. And also, I think with that is less serious, actually, less serious, and a bit more able to laugh at myself. I was laughing at my victim yesterday coming up. My inner victim, we're going to be looking at that this afternoon. So again, I think this is another relevant point as well, and I see this a lot, and you know, probably I've done this a bit myself as well over the years, is in holistic fields, yoga teachers, therapists, coaches, counselors. There can be, again, this leapfrog happens where there's avoidance of my own stuff, and actually I'm going to do my work through other people's stuff. So this is quite common. So this is why we do a lot of this work, the personal development work here, so that we're not leapfrogging over. We can sit and stay with our shit. We're not avoiding it. We're not running away from it. We're sitting and staying with it, and that is pure gold. It is gold when we're able to do that. It most certainly helps us to be more in that longing, more in that individual rather than being in the longing. So it allows us to be in svasta, to be situated in who I am and not fucking run away from it. This is who I am. These are my patterns. This is what I own. I own this. You know, it's important. It's really important. So you might have some oracle cards that you like, and if you've got them, we're going to bring them in, but I want to do some shares as well. We're also going to do a little bit of journaling, so I want to do that before we share today. If you haven't finished your cacao yet, we're going to go into a meditation. So if you just hold that space a little bit. What's just come as well is this idea of Tejas, which I love, and you might want to read up a bit more about what Tejas is. It's actually which is interesting really in its meaning, and the deeper meaning of Tejas is actually the energy that comes from well digested food on one level, but it also is digestion on all levels. All of the impulses, everything that we take in through our eyes, our ears, our mouth, our hearts, everything has got to be assimilated and digested. And so again, to sit and stay with, you know, to hold space for, you know, these are similar sort of things, to hold space for, to be able to hold space for myself when I'm in something that feels uncomfortable. Can I sit and stay with that? Can I sit and stay with this and not beat myself up over it? Allow myself to see my little one who had to overgive to be received, that had to, you know, whatever that story is. We kind of start to see ourselves who had to, you know, one of the biggest things I would say, and I think it's happened already this morning, is I'm sorry. How many of us apologize for who we are? I'm sorry for crying. I'll tell you, if I have heard that once, I've heard it 1,000 times in space, in circle. I'm sorry for crying. I never want to hear apologies for crying, because that might have just saved someone's life. You know, when those tears come. Tears are the healing waters. We want that. We want that. Apologies for getting angry. I'm sorry. You know. So sorry is, yeah, sometimes also, and I've seen this too in kids, that women rather, with the inner child, that maybe, and especially in our age group, where children were in the way a lot of the time. We were actually inconveniences for many of us. I certainly grew up with that feeling. I'm an inconvenience, I'm in the way. And again, then we end up apologizing for who we are. I've certainly done that too. You know, I've definitely been an apologizer for who I am. So, you know, if these are all themes, what I'd like you to do actually, just to start off with, is I just want you to sit with, first of all, the feminine. So if I was to feel into what does the feminine represent for me in 10 words or 5 words? So what did I learn in my own route? This is about you. This is your basement. So what did the feminine show me in 5 or 10 words? What words would I associate with the feminine? So again, we're not sugarcoating stuff, making it pretty. You know, what did the feminine show you? What did you learn? And then once you've done that, we're going to do the same with the masculine. So what did the masculine line, you know, what words do I associate with masculine? Okay, so hopefully you might have a bit of awareness of, you know, what, you know, again, are we balanced? Is there balance between masculine and feminine? Is there, you know, and share that if I go back through my feminine line, my mum gave everything away. She was an overworker, workaholic. However, my and never rested. These were the things. So I associate feminine energy to being burnt out, tired, stoic, often closed. But then I can also look at my nan, who was the opposite of that. So she had a nana nap in an afternoon. She did a knitting, she did a baking. She was very simple. You know, she had a very simple life. So I can kind of pull from two different ways there. My masculine distortion was constrictive, rejecting. You know, these are the words I would put to the masculine: rejection, restricting, I can't remember what other words I use now. I can't remember when I did this. But anyway, so basically, what happened to me was, so I've got these two themes running. You've got the constrictive, rejective, discipline, authoritarian in the masculine. Then you've got the give away, you know, overdo it, so for me, like I said yesterday, I couldn't put my root into a masculine vibe because it felt like it were caging me. So for me, I went more feminine, into more divine feminine chaos with no structure, and ended up burning out. So to be able to see both of what my underlying beliefs are to both, to be able to alchemize and bring those two together, how I did that was to use a mantra, which was the divine masculine structure allows me to dance. So by allowing structure to become part of my life, which was this became actually for me the masculine. I've put a link to it in the group. You can get a download of that. This became my structure, my masculine, in effect, that if I start to actually work and live in line with these energies, because I'm allowing myself to be open to masculine structure, rather than structure being somewhat to avoid because it's constrictive and it's controlling and all of that, it allows me to dance in my feminine. Because when I, you know, work with this energy, which I'll share with you in a bit, it allows me to rest in new moon and contain and build energy. It allows me to show up in my fullness in full moon energy. It allows me to contemplate my shadow in, you know, wild woman. So it kind of supports all these areas of growth. Now that can be used on so many different levels through whatever it is that you're doing, but certainly for your personal energy field, it can guide your yoga classes, it can guide your circles, it can guide, you know, your energy. So yeah, so this is that is what I've just given you now. That exercise is what that was born out of, because I needed structure and I was creative. And those of you that have been with me for a long time will know I was doing this and I'm doing that, I'm doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that, and I still can do that a bit sometimes, but it gave me structure and it allowed me to be actually open to structure as well, which I never have been. So yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. Was it helpful? because again, we're looking at the root of who we are, and what are them patterns, what are them things, with a smile, with fun, with awareness, you know, because when we bring awareness to our patterns, awareness is key to everything. Once we're aware of it, we can alchemize it quite quickly as well. You know, I think we can be a bit under a spell that, you know, this takes a long time. It can take a long time if we want it to, but it can also alchemize like that if we want it to too. But it's about awareness. What is rogue in my field? And that's why sitting every day is so important. What is rogue in my field today? What is a pattern that's running in me that is keeping me small, that is keeping me burnt out, that is keeping me not showing up, you know, not doing the work I've always wanted to do, living in a comfort zone, you know, this idea of a comfortable hell rather than an uncomfortable heaven. You know, these concepts are so apparent, you know, sometimes that, you know, because really if we're doing this sort of work, all of us are on a path of growth. We're not here to stay the same, to go to Tesco's, as much as I threaten it often. I'm just going to get a job in Tesco's. Those of you that know me will know that's the thing. I don't think it would last long. I think I'd get sacked within about an hour. I've been there anyways. But you know, again, if we're here to, you know, to grow and to change, and the thing is that everybody that sits in front of us in circle, with us in circle, are going to be, you know, also alchemy. Now, one of the teachings I had is you can only ever take somebody as far as you've been. So you can only take somebody as far as you have done the work. That's why you are doing the work, because then you can create these transformative, life-changing, life-affirming circles, not just paying it lip service. You're going into deep transformation with people, and when they step into circle, they'll feel it. You are sharing gifts, you're sharing tools that can change people's lives. All right, so if you want to get your cards out, just give them a little shuffle. And I love cards in circles. However, depending on who you have in circles, some people don't like them, and that's okay. Some people associate them to tarot and black magic and the devil, and that's okay. So what I'd say with cards, if you're using cards in your circle, and I always use cards in my circles, I tend to use cards that are quite easy to read. So they're not going to take, again, if we think about head space, if we can use cards that are not going to take people into head going, oh, I don't understand what that word means, or, you know, they're going into head. So things that are very simple to follow. I've got simple, I can put Rebecca Campbell's work is very great, and Wendy Andrews' work is very lovely, and easy. They're easy and they're pretty, so they look lovely in circle as well. I've just actually bought Rebecca Campbell's Earthstones deck, and it's really ancient. It's like ancient grandmother energy. It's really nice to have in circle. But again, if you're working with elements, you know, and your centerpiece is going to reflect that, then it's nice to have a card deck that also supports the intention and theme that you're setting, which we covered yesterday. So just having a little shuffle of your cards, and then I want to do something called a 3-card story. Some of you will have done it before, some of you may not have, but I want you just to pull 3 cards and put them face down in front of you. And this is a lovely practice that, again, you can use in circle, and it kind of, well, I find with it that it kind of gives you like a bit of a detached awareness. So it's like you're writing from from a third party kind of thing. So it's a bit it's not so much in your head when you're doing it. So you're going to put 3 cards face down in front of you, and then in your journal, you're going to begin an intro with, once upon a time, there was a, and you can use anything this, you can use a queen, space holder, goddess, a woman, girl. You can write it from anywhere that you're feeling resonant with today, who was learning to love and trust herself. Now, where the love and trust is, you can put anything in there as well. Again, you can make it your own. And then she. So once upon a time, there was a who was learning to love and trust herself, or you can use any other words you want to use in there. It might be was learning to love her shadow, or I don't know, anything it can be. And then she. And then you're going to turn over your first card and just have a look at it. You don't have to read the book or anything like that, but I just want you to have a look at that card. And whatever message that is reflecting back at you, you're going to start your story from the message that you're getting from that card. So once upon a time, there was a woman who was learning to love and trust herself, she, and then write from that place, from whatever that card is showing you. And then once you've written your first one, you're going to go to your second one and continue your story. How are we doing? All right. Have you done all 3 yet? Yeah, we got a nice story. I'm just reading this thing that I sent to my kids this week. It's making me cry. All right. So let's have a little pee break, shall we? And then we'll do a little bit And fairly sure, I think that exercise is in your manual, but it's always a lovely thing to use in circle because you can adapt it to be whatever you want. You know, you might, you know, I'm going to go to Pamela because it kind of resonates, but she might use that as, you know, the plants are speaking to me through these cards, you know, and you might use a plant wisdom deck. So, you know, for example, if that was your theme, you know, and that, you know, because I think I'm fairly sure you can get like plant wisdom oracle, can't you? So you could use that as well, which would be lovely.
I've actually got a couple of plant decks and they're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
really, really good.
Kind of work, because again, if we, you know, if we think that really what we're doing, and especially with plant wisdom, and cacao is that, you know, is a plant, is again, we have to be present, and we know that, don't we? We have to sit with, and we don't have to, but really for me, it's about honoring the energy of that plant. So we have to be present for that, don't we? It's probably the same, similar with you know, Leslie, with the stars, when you're reading stars and things like that, you have to be really present with that. And if you're distracted all over the place, it kind of don't work as well. And I think for me, what presence invites, I think, is again coming back to simplicity. And you know, less is less. You know, it's said that the most advanced practice is no practice, and that, I think, is where presence lies. So okay, so let's have a quick pee break, and then we're going to come back to share, because I'm absolutely going to pee myself. Not that you need to know that, but I'm going to go away. I know, just give yourself 5 minutes, just a little screen break, and make yourself a drink or whatever, and then we'll come back and have a few shares on the reflections that we've had this morning. You know what, this is so typical. I did my hair this morning. I thought, oh, I really like my hair. I don't think I want dreads in. It always happens, doesn't it? Always happens when I want it cutting as well. Oh, I really like my hair. I don't think it needs cutting. Anyway, watch this space. I'm going to do it. Great. So just have a... Does everybody use oracle cards? I'm guessing everyone does. Yeah. Yeah. Sue, I can't see you. I don't know why. You've got a blank screen. There's no camera for some reason.
Oh, I can see myself, you know, up on the bar at the top. I'm there.
I can't see you. It's a black screen here for me.
Oh, can anybody else see me? I can see myself.
Can you see her? Can you?
I can now. I didn't before.
Oh, I can't. It's just a black screen. Oh. Let me just do it again. Weird. Yeah, good. So what I think if we keep coming back to this idea of presence, I think what cards do for me is they again allow me to be present, and journaling and cards I think are a lovely way. And apart from that, I think they're really empowering and they're really affirming, because I can say everybody picks a card and go, oh my God, that's so resonant. So I needed that today. And so it kind of like it gives us that yeah, that really that confirmation. Because I think one of the things with women is that they're often really detached from their intuition, or it's been shut off, or they've been gaslighted into not believing what they feel. So these cards can really, really help to kind of reawaken that part, that bit, that intuitive part of a woman. The other thing which I don't think we've done yet, which is in the manual as well, is morning pages. So if you've been in circle with me, you'll have done morning pages, because it's something that I do, and I think it's amazing. Obsession. I have so many. Funnily enough, Leslie, I've just had a massive clear out of my oracle cards, and they're all going to yoga training next weekend because I've got so many of them. And when I actually looked at them again in this idea of simplifying, what do I actually use in here? And loads I don't use. So I thought,
the ones from Planet Tarot.
yeah.
From
Oh, you got the Tanit. Yeah, we went and got them for you.
Yes, I haven't got them yet.
They're more, yeah. I nearly bought some different ones while I was there. But like, do I need more cards? I probably need to give a lot away. So yeah, lovely. They're the nicer that deck. Okay, so yeah, so morning pages is a practice that if you're running retreats, retreat days, even circles, I think it's a really nice way to start, because what it does is, I always see it as, it's like when you get out the shower and the mirror's steamed up and you can't see yourself. And morning pages goes like that, and it kind of shows you who you are. So it clears away all the shit. It's usually actually all shite that you write in the morning pages. It doesn't make sense. It'll dig up all the worries, because when you've been sleeping, your subconscious has been processing a lot of stuff. So often in the morning, well, for me anyway, and this again is me being, really real, I often wake up and I feel quite low. This is part of who I am. I can feel quite low, quite sometimes depressed. And so when I do morning pages, it helps me clear out and move that energy on. It helps me clear it so that I can see who I am better. So again, I'm going through a big journey at the moment, and really being really truthful with who I am. And I do run dark. So this is part of my own practice. So if you haven't done it before, you write 3 pages of any old shit that's coming up, whatever it is that you think about yourself, all of the stuff that you tell yourself, all of the inner critic stuff goes on them pages. You then pull the pages out and stick them in the fire. You don't read them back, you don't look back on them. If you've got another journal that's a nice journal, once you can see yourself clearly, then put some nice stuff in that one. But the gunk and the residue from the basement goes in the first slot that comes up. It will show you what's rogue in your field today. So this is a practice that is really helpful. The other thing that I'll share as well is that I came to this work through anxiety and panic attacks. That's why I do what I do. Because when I had a panic attack to the point of thinking I was dying, I thought I was having a stroke, that is how I ended up coming to yoga. That's how I've ended up space holding. This is why I do what I do. It's not because I think I've got it all figured out, because I certainly don't, and I'm still working all the time on myself. So, these truths that feel vulnerable are part of who we are and part of our journey to be here. And I think it's a big part of and a big piece of the circle holding space, that we aren't here saying, oh, look at me, I'm the guru, I've got it all figured out, because you're your own guru. Eyes in and down is always what we want to be encouraging women to do, is to look. Same, Pamela, yoga saved my fucking life, because I was on a bridge that day. I'll tell you, I was on a bridge that day, and not an energetic bridge, on a bridge of I've got to do something about this, else I'm going to end up over there, in there, and that's me done. So same energy, yoga found me and saved me as well. So and antidepressants and all the other stuff that helped me. Yeah. So being honest, kind of, and truthful opens up a space for others to share their truth as well. And I think this is something else that. Oh, thank you, Leslie. Yeah, I'm real. I'm getting more fucking real by the day, I'll tell you. Fucking hell. More real by the day, and it's a wonderful thing. Interestingly, actually, I just share this as well. My yoga journey went through the Drew yoga training, which was amazing, but there is a but to that, and that is that I believe that within Drew, as beautiful it is, there is a fake positivity that goes on there, and there is no space for shadow there. And I think the yoga world can be guilty of that. There's no place for shadow. We cannot have light without dark. It does not exist. So I believe in being real and showing our shadow when we're feeling it, showing our vulnerabilities when we're feeling it. Yeah, and I'm going to share this now, because I'm going to do this as part of my share. So my and I think it's relevant. I'm not sure if it's relevant, but I'm just going to share it anyway, because it's relevant for me and what I'm doing at the moment. So my kids, and grandkids, I've got grandkids as well now, are my world. They are my absolute world. And those kids were both born to a man that I didn't want to be with, that I found myself in relationship with because he felt comfortable, because he rejected me on every level, because that was my comfort zone. That's what I learned from the masculine, is the masculine rejects. And I was in that relationship for 18 years, and both my kids came from that relationship. Because of that relationship and relationships since that one, after I left that, my kids have had to go through some real rough and tumble stuff with me on my journey, because they've been my kids. And I know some of you don't have kids, and again, this relates anyway. So both of my kids have felt sometimes rejected by me because of other men, or they've had to listen to stuff they should never have had to listen to. They've had to witness stuff they've should never have had to listen to. And I see my kids now I left that situation in the hope and dream that they wouldn't fall down that hole. And I believe both of them have to an extent. And there is part of that is kind of going on. And I find that really difficult to witness as a mother. And again, this is what I was saying about it being relevant in space holding, because again, when we can take that neutral space and allow ourselves off the hook with ourselves and our parenting and all of that stuff, then it really, really helps us to hold space in that neutral, non-judgmental way. So the other day I was on Facebook and this thing popped up, and it just hit me. Sometimes, you know, you just see something and it hits me. Now, I am fully open to take responsibility for my part in their upbringing and my part and my failures at times in parenting. But this really resonated with me so much. And if you don't have kids, if you do have kids, it don't matter. But these words can speak to your inner child as well as your child. So I'm going to share it with you because it'll probably make me cry, because it really resonated so deeply with me. And it actually was to my firstborn, and that was how it first came up. But obviously I've got two, and I wanted to give them both the thing. So this is the one that I sent to my daughter, and which has opened up so much space for our communication, is like unreal, because me and my daughter do have a very interesting karmic relationship, but this has opened up so much space for that. And so this is it. And again, I want you to feel this as if you're receiving it and your inner girl is receiving it as well. Here's to my baby girl, the one I raised, but also the one I grew up alongside. The one who got the tenderfoot version of me as a mama. The one who had to stumble with me in my inexperience, and even sometimes was my only pick-me-up. The one who showed me what unconditional love truly looks like. I know it probably wasn't always easy for you, bearing witness as I sorted through all of the messy first times, but I hope that you can look back and understand it, that I did the best that I could, and with the knowledge that I loved you with every piece of me through it all, I hope that you're as proud to be my child as I am to be your mother. So as you can see, it's very, because I have taken so much on, so much guilt and shame on around my journey with her and with me and my child, and the things that I have done in my life that I felt so guilty for, that to be able to forgive myself as being the biggest gift, and that was something I wanted to pass on. So I hope that you receive that with the love that it's intended, and I hope it's helpful, and I'll certainly send it. So if you want to send that on to anybody else, to share that and to allow us all to, you know that we did the best that we could with what we had in the time and the space that was. I feel that this is going to be such a big transformation for so many of us, because we do, and I do, live with guilt every day over the choices that I've made in my life. And also, you know, to receive that to yourself, that you, again, you know, grew up alongside yourself as you were making these decisions. And yeah, and daughters, if you've got daughters, you'll know how, you know, how challenging it can be to see your daughter making choices that you might feel to yeah, I'll send it for everybody to share with their daughters too. And honestly, this has been such a deep healing for my own relationship and for letting myself and forgiving myself for, you know, doing the best that I could with what I had when I was young. I was 22 when I had my son, and, you know, I was a kid. I was just a kid in a relationship that was really difficult. So anyway, got the tears out the way because I knew that was coming this morning. But anyway, my name is Andrea and I've spoken. All right, so I'm going to pass on to Vicky. Morning. What I would say is also, when you're holding space, I will always say, like, you are the leader of that space. Obviously, you're kind of the holder of that space. What I would normally say is don't unpack all of your stuff into that space fully. However, if it is something like that, like you can see that's probably been quite powerful for everybody this morning, at that level is so transformative and so life affirming and life changing. I think that, you know, again, reading into what is required, even though this feels vulnerable for me, I'm going to share it anyway. So I think there's, you know, there's a balance on that as well. Vicky.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for sharing that. I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, but I don't have any children by choice. I grew up with a twin sister who had a daughter at 17, and she was in a relationship, and I helped bring up her daughter, which led me to not want children for obvious reasons. But anyway, the story you read, I sort of related to that because my mum was really cold. She didn't know how to love, but that came from her mum. Because her mum was the same. She was a bit bonkers. She was on antidepressants, but so that meant a lot for me because I imagined my mum reading it to me. But my cards, I'd like to share my cards, my three card pull, because they were really resonant for me. So the first one was sisterhood, and I put, once upon a time, there was a girl who was learning to love, accept, and trust herself. She seeks and finds a beautiful sisterhood of soul sisters, a community for support, strong connections, and she feels safe enough and loved enough and comfortable enough to be authentic. My second card was intuition. Her feelings were followed instead of hidden, and she allowed her inner voice to be heard. She learned to be true to herself and say no to what didn't serve, just to people please. The third card was safety. And she feels safe, she feels structured, she feels a solidarity, and she feels beautifully accepted. Thank you. My name is Vicky and I've spoken.
Sheree, beautiful. Thank you, Vicky. That's really important. And your words as well, of, you know, having mothers that maybe reject. And then I believe that many of us who are, you know, that's where the people pleaser is born from. It's the pleading to, you know, really our inner child is pleading to be accepted and loved. Now, one of the things that I've written down this morning to share, and it's one of the things my teacher, who's like 86, shared with me, is that everybody just wants to feel loved and accepted. That's all we're craving, and that is often why women come to Circle, is to be loved and accepted.
So being a twin had a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah.
It's sort of always been never sort of it was always twinny. It was always twin, the twins, the twinny. It was never Vicky and Leslie. I mean, we do have a good relationship now, and we always have. but she's had a totally different life to me. But my mum's mum was an alcoholic, and she took lots of tablets, which didn't go well with the drink. But that was because my mum's dad left her while she was in hospital having her. So yeah, it was
interesting.
difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, and then that leaves the abandonment wound that often fed through alcohol, drugs, and that's it. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, well, again, we start to see things, and as we track, we can track back through, through our lineage. This is really where all the learning is. It's what that tells us who we are. And the thing is now, as well, that this understanding that we carry within us, the energy of 7 generations actually behind us, but we can also affect the next 7 ahead of us. So the work we do now on ourselves, that we share with others, and we allow that space to shift and change, the more that's going to shift for the generations ahead. And now there is talk that we pick up the energy in utero. It's not just it's not just it's in utero. So what was your mother doing when she was carrying you? What was going on when she was carrying you? Because that imprint will be there too. My son suffers terribly with anxiety. I was on the run all the time when I was pregnant with him. I was on the run all the time. So there's no, there's no wonder.
Yeah, I get the same from
Yeah, so we can start to again see and alchemize through being softer with ourselves, because it is the time, the circumstances, the blueprint that your soul chose to learn through these lessons, these people, these families that we've born ourselves into. Again,
being present, being present to everything,
loving and accepting,
and I get really anxious. I've just really I really concentrate on being present in that moment and saying, you're not this is not you, this is not your thoughts, and then it goes. I've learned to deal with that,
and it passes. It passes. But the only thing, the thing is also is those parts of us that we don't want to feel, we don't want to acknowledge. What I would say is bring them to the table. Bring them to the table and sit and stay with. Honestly, Tejas has been one of the biggest teachers to me, to sit and stay with what feels fucking uncomfortable and love it and accept it and integrate it. That is alchemy. That is what that is. So, because if we don't avoid ourselves and our own stuff, nobody's going to sit in circle and avoid theirs, because you are an energetic transmitter in that circle. So again, we allow it to the surface, we allow it to be there, we can see where it came from. Like 95% of our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings are actually not even ours. They've come from someone else. So again, is it true? That's one of the, I think it's Katie Byron that did an amazing body of work on, is it true? Is it true? So when we're getting those thoughts and things, challenge them. Is it, bring it to the table? Is that true? It's really powerful. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, darling. Pamela.
Yeah, weirdly enough, my first card was acceptance.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm like, oh my word.
So in the circle.
I've done the 3-card story with you. I've done the morning pages and all the rest of it, and I still use them. And I still can't believe how every time you do it, you're like, oh wow. Because obviously my second card was meditation, but what I see is the wintering, the hibernation, the coziness coming inwards really what we all need to be doing.
Yeah.
But this one's really interesting, and it's triggers.
Oh, interesting.
And looking at it, it's like the child, the mother, the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and then there's your tree of life, and then there's the moon. But it's like, I see it as all the triggers are like in wee bubbles, so they've been dealt with. They're moving away. The triggers become obviously your wounds. Your wound, you say exactly, your wound becomes your gift. And like they've been dealt with, they're now away into the air, out the road, and you learn from them. And even if there is more triggers, you've got to deal with them. Perfect time for me, because my scrying mirror's coming out for hibernation this week. It's getting dusted down, and you've got to look, and you've got to, you can't avoid, you've got to look and go, right, I've got to deal with this shit. You know, absolutely. But this morning, before we started, I picked up this card, which is Flow, okay? And this card is fantastic, because I look and you can see, no, you can't, I don't know if you can actually see it. The dragonfly as well. The dragonfly here is is me, I think, picking with my basket, picking my flowers and my thingies. There's dragonflies, there's butterflies, there's the animals, there's the trees, there's the mountains, and it just reminds me of Scotland, actually, with the waterfall as well, and the beautiful sky, and feminine flow. And I'm like, God, you can actually look at the cards. I mean, everybody's got beautiful cards, and you just pick up something else and you go, there's, I mean, it is quite good that you can read the book, and then you can go, okay, have a wee think of that one. But the cards are fantastic, absolutely, and they always resonate. Doesn't matter who it is, they always resonate. It'd be quite nice to see other people's cards as well. Because
I was going to say that.
Because I remember you moving out from York for your physical place and selling everything off. And there must have been 40 odd sets of oracle cards. So since then, you've obviously started to gather them all back up again. And this is the second whoosh, out they go, you know. Just the one last thing, I remember when we were doing one of our courses, and it was Ramona that mentioned it. So I think that's your page, and she wrote, I can't see, she wrote across that way for our morning pages, our morning dump, I call it, brain dump. And she wrote across the way, then she turned the page, where are we, that away, and started writing, so that she wasn't reading what she had written, because she was trying to get her brain, and she then started to write across. So it also meant that if anybody saw the pages, they couldn't actually read what she had written. For some reason, she wanted to keep it, and then she get rid of the whole journal kind of thing. But I thought that was a really interesting take to do that. So it may have use for somebody.
Interesting,
My name is Pamela, and I have spoken.
Ashe, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's just brought up something. Because one of the resistances that often happens with women with journaling is diaries. You know, if you wrote a diary, I can guarantee your sister found it and showed it to your mum, probably. Something happened like that. And that can be that can be a resistance thing to people doing it, and as well. So sometimes there is a bit of resistance about writing it down. So the thing with the morning pages, again, if you can say, well, just either make it illegible or rip it out and burn it kind of feels safer. Because, again, if we come back to the witch trials, and if that is a cellular memory, or it is a fear that we get found out, or anything like that, then that can be part of that. So, again, maybe writing down all the anger and resentment and all of the shameful things that you feel, and then burning them, and it's gone, it's out of the body and onto the page, which is, you know, massive shift in energy. It moves energy then. So yeah, it's amazing. Lovely, Annie. Next on my screen.
Hey.
Yay.
So I use the Rebecca Campbell's
Nice.
Healing Waters. Not
Yeah, I
really
love that
focusing in on
deck.
it, is
Oh
it?
my
But
God. Yeah, I love that deck.
I'm Aquarian and I'm supposed to be an air sign, but I do connect with water more.
Mm.
It's just, yeah. So my first card was Beneath the Surface. Don't know why it's not coming up quite clear, but yeah, it's because I got my blurry thing on, I think.
I think you've got a blurred background actually as well. I don't know if you've got a setting on it. Oh, that's it. That's it.
That's better.
I can see that's so beautiful out of them cards. I love them.
They're gorgeous. So I do the Once Upon a Time, and then he sank beneath the surface to break free from her ties, to discover her true motives and what was really driving her forward. From that card. And then I got the water. Sarah. She became the water carrier, reprioritized her life after reflecting on what really mattered, which is huge.
It's huge.
And then the birth mysteries.
Oh, wow.
I was thinking, oh gosh, baby. No, what baby? She discovered the birth mysteries and learned what she was here to create. Oh, yeah, everything's sort of pointing me in similar directions. And then I did got a Rumi deck, which is Alana Fairchild's.
Oh yeah, I love her work.
Just as an after thing. And it says beyond death, life. And I'm doing a lot of things like with death cafes and bereavements and things at the minute. So I think I maybe need to focus into that a bit more. And, yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting. Thank you.
Very welcome.
And I am Annie and I've spoken.
Thank you, Annie. Yeah, I can definitely see you doing that work for sure. Absolutely, 100% your lane. Sue, I still can't see you, but I can hear you, so.
Right. Can you hear me? Can anybody else?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you, but I don't know what's going on.
Right, I have used Rebecca Campbell's The Rose.
Love that one as well.
This is the little pocket one. I'm not very good at shuffling, so I find the pocket size ones are quite easier to shuffle. So the cards that I've pulled have really resonated with me. I do suffer with a lack of self-confidence and a lack of belief in myself, you know, that I can do this work and that women will want to join me, you know, and share. So it was interesting that my first card was the bud, potential, it's happening, keep going. So in my story, I put that once upon a time there was a woman who was learning to love and trust herself, and then she felt a stirring within, a remembrance of something more. Now was the time. She had potential. It was happening. She needed to trust in her intuition to keep going. And then my second card was the wild rose. Do it your way, free yourself, unique. Nice. She began to realise, to remember, she doesn't have to try to be anyone else or copy anyone else. She can do it her own way. She acknowledged she was unique. Her gifts were worthy to share with other women. And then my third card is the Holy Grail. Stop the endless searching. She had the Holy Grail within her already. She could stop the endless searching. It was all within. She remembered She trusts her intuition and is her true, authentic self, and that is all she needs. My name is Sue, and I have spoken.
You have spoken, Sue. Amazing. You've spoken. You've just shared the whole session already this morning in that story. Eyes in. Oh, beautiful. Thank you. That's gorgeous. Yeah, eyes in. Honestly, one of the biggest teachings. Yeah, you are your own guru. Leslie.
Hello, everyone. I have
Hello.
no idea which bit to share, actually. There's so much that I could actually say. I'm looking at my cards, so I think I'll share that. I use this card quite a lot. I quite like Colette Baron Reid. I follow the Arthurian mysteries and all of that, knights and the round table and Merlin and everything, total magic. So I like this because it's East meets West for me. So my cards really intrigued me because my first card is the cow. They're all related to animals, so I need to sit with that. I don't know why, but the cow is about abundance, and kind of we were talking about lineage before, and my lineage is that hard work. You've got to work hard to do everything. You've got, my grandmother made the comment that she only respected women who had red raw hands from hard.
Wow.
So that will be filtered down into me, although I don't buy into that at all. But that is how she saw everything. My grandmother is up here behind me. She's kind of a guide, really. She keeps popping up. She was very harsh with my mum, though. Very emotionally unavailable. Not to me, because I'm the grandchild. I was the firstborn, the favourite, so I got a lot of aggression from my cousins for that. But yeah, looking at this, I do think it's about allowing abundance and asking and receiving, because none of them would ever have. My mother doesn't receive, you know. It's I think I do. I think I can receive without guilt. You know? Yeah, and the next one was interesting because it's the wasp, which is about jealousy, retaliation, and anger. But this is what my mother is about now. And I suppose because I see it in her, it's clearly in me. Yeah. So I've got to look at that one. I have been a little bit myself and my husband, we run a business transporting children with learning disabilities, and we kind of share a run, and there is an escort on that run. And I discovered that he told us something really quite personal. And I just said to him, I said, and I don't know why, it's petty really. I said, I don't know why you're talking like that to Nicola, you know, what's that about? So there was a little bit of a like, don't like that. So anyway, the description in the book is about like save it for things that really matter. And I thought, yeah, big one there. So I think that's what that is. And then the hawk, which is about omens and messages, being in the land, in what you see out in nature. And that's very me. They are all relevant. So I'm thinking, all these animals coming up, no people. Yeah, interesting. But another thing I wanted to share was also, obviously, when I was very young as well, when I had my daughter, very, very, I won't say too, well, it was too young, but I dealt with that okay. But my partner's parents wanted me to have a termination. And I was dragged from hospital to hospital to find people that would do this. And Christy, my daughter, has always had panic attacks. And she said, I've always felt that people are trying to kill me. So that was going on when she was in the womb. So it's very, very real, whatever happened to you. while you were in utero, without a doubt. We've
Yeah.
talked about it. I said, well, it was true. That's what happened. She doesn't have a relationship with her father. So I felt I could say that without, it just didn't bother. But it's quite scary, isn't it? You sort of really kind of could do with knowing. A lot of our anxieties are probably from that time. My mum would have been scared because she was young as well. She was married, but only just. And her mother had told her not to have any children within the first 5 years. And she made my father tell my mother that she was pregnant. So, yes, they were happy, but kind of with a reservation, like, oh, well, this is far too soon, not okay. So I'll have soaked all that up as well. So it's very, very interesting. And I think it's very cathartic to actually, if we can, if we've got our mothers still there, to actually ask what was going on. Yeah. So, yeah, I am Leslie and I've spoken.
Ashe, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, and that's just reminded me of something else as well. So, I mean, my mother got pregnant out of marriage and she was 19 and it was really bad. Like, it was really bad. My nana went absolutely doolally about it. But again, as a baby in utero, and now learning my core wound is I am wrong and I am bad, has not only been affirmed in my life, but it was also affirmed in the womb. I am wrong, I am bad. Because that's what my mum would have been feeling. I am wrong, I am bad for being pregnant and I'm not married. So yeah, it's definitely something to reflect on, is that one, because it, again, if you have got your mothers, definitely check out what was going on for them when they were pregnant. Anne Marie is next.
Yeah, don't know where to start really. What you read really resonated with me because hope I can get this out, because my daughter was really ill from being the age of 11. She went into an eating disorder. And she's 33 now and she's fine. She's not in the eating disorder anymore, but it was a very hard 20 years. And I thought I'd got through it all, but obviously I haven't. Otherwise it wouldn't be affecting me as it is now. And she does occasionally have sort of like depression. So when she phones me and we go into it together and the rest of it, she's not completely stable, but she lives a life and she knows where it all comes from. And yeah, so there's always this thing of it had to do with me, it had to do with the family, obviously we all know that. And I was very unhappily married to her father as well. So yeah, and you do say to yourself, well, you got out and you left, but she still has a very complicated relationship to him as well. We have a great relationship, and my other daughter, but both of them still have a really complicated relationship to their father. And as you say, there's always that touch of guilt somewhere at the back of your mind, because I knew when I married him that he was complicated, he was depressed. So yeah, it's all it's sort of coming up at the moment. So
yeah,
thank you for sharing.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, that's enough.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I am Anne-Marie and I have spoken.
Ashe, thank you. Thank you for your beautiful words. Amazing. Wow. So I'm going to actually speak to that because y- you know, the thing is that often we think we've done our work, and we do our work, and there's no denying we're doing our work, but there's always some remnants of healing, of forgiveness, of more love, more acceptance to to move through. So I would definitely send those messages to you girls if you've got them, but to yourself. Read it to yourself, because for us all, if we've been in relationships with men, psychology around these men as well is interesting, because we choose men you often on a very primal level, and this is often why we choose bad boys as dads, as baby dads, because they're often very strong, and basically we want our babies to survive. We want them to be good, strong, babies that are going to survive. So often we do choose these men who are often unsuitable, often rejecting, but rather than beating ourselves up over, like I would say, certainly my kid's dad, I knew when I met him that he was to be my kid's dad. I knew that no matter what. I knew the relationship wasn't brilliant. I knew he wasn't a brilliant person. He wasn't ideal. But deeper than that, I knew he was my children's father, and I was meant to have kids with him. And in a way, my kids are strong. They're strong kids, you know. Um, but but I have beaten myself up for a lot of years and felt guilt for what they've had to go through to be with me on that journey. And not only once, but a few times. It's not only been the one time. So again, if this, whatever's come up this morning, has brought up something for you, like a deeper healing, again, just be with it, be gentle with yourself, be loving with yourself, be kind with yourself, and let the energy move, because it's a grief process in a lot of ways, isn't it? It's part of a grieving process of again, it's something that, in a way, what I would say is that anything that we hold in our field is serving us in some way. So these things will serve us. However, everything that has served you will become a limitation to you at some point, and carrying guilt and resentment and anger and whatever our story has brought for us will become a limitation to us. We need to alchemize it. We need to forgive ourselves and love ourselves more, and again allow these things to move into love. And if we can do that, what can happen is then again we can be more authentic with who we are. We can be more open to share our stories and be honest, not hiding them, and being ashamed of our journey, because our journey is part of who we are, and part of how authentic space holding will bring more alchemy for other people as well. So I know that all of us in this group have got a story to tell, and I know all of us in this group are alchemists, because we wouldn't be here if we weren't. We're here to free other women. That's what we're here to do. It's a big task, and it's an amazing task, and I hope I'm still doing it to the day before I go in my box. I'm sure I will be. Caroline.
Hi. So this past month has been quite a journey for me. Ups and downs. The new moon, I was like mostly crying for whatever reason. Anything triggered me. The full moon, I was like, I felt quite high, to be honest, and quite inspired.
Mm.
I feel my journey is changing quite a lot.
Mm.
And this is quite relevant in the cards that I've picked. I do use Oracle cards every day, but for the 3 cards, I bought a new pack by Carl Gray, and it's called the Divine Masters.
Ooh.
So my first one I picked was, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, the Lemurians Clairvoyant Activated. So I've read I have written a story about it, but I'm going to read what this means, because when I read it, I actually thought, this is so what we're doing. So I'm not really psychic or anything, but I do have messages come in and see things, but nothing really major. So it says, your psychic gifts and talents are being activated at this time. Trust what you see, hear, feel, and know. For whatever you are picking up is absolutely correct. Your sensitivity is so heightened that you will be able to evaluate people's characters quickly, read between the lines, and see things before they happen. Know that this ability will get stronger and stronger as you use psychic gifts to know and heal. There's a good chance that in the past, your sensitivity was overwhelming because you didn't understand it or how to direct it. But now you are blooming like a beautiful flower, becoming light that you were born to be. You've prepared yourself for this moment. Lifetimes upon lifetimes, incarnations have led to where you are now. Through embracing your uniqueness, you can help many others embrace theirs. This is not a time to fit or to confer or conform. This is the moment you let the world know who you are. And I thought that's quite relevant to pretty much all of us.
Yeah.
Because I can see my journey is changing. And my story was, once upon a time, there was a woman who trusted her journey as she walked the path of psychic awareness and sensitivity. She was a devoted warrior and held love and strength. She could feel herself evolving and creating her legacy, progressing with technology. Technology is not my big thing. She accelerated her expectations for her truth. And I am a really sensitive person. I'm an earth person. I'm quite grounded, but I am really sensitive, and I always have been. I am Caroline, and I have spoken.
Ashe, beautiful, yeah, gorgeous. And you know, the sensitivity is the too much woman, isn't it? You know, we talk about the too much woman. It's in your book. It's in your manual at the back, I think it is. You know, about the too much woman, and you know, the sensitivity is a gift, as much as we've probably been told off for it. And you know, I was saying yesterday that this intuition and sensitivity can come from childhood trauma. It's developed often in childhood trauma, because we've become hypersensitive to our environment. And so as much as it's kind of come from a dark, again, we look at shadow and light, it's come from a dark place, but yeah, it's going to be your greatest gift in holding space for sure. And I think also the other thing that I think is quite relevant is this idea that what has served us, you know, and one of my teachers used to share, like, what altars are we dedicating to? Because things that we've done forever, you know, whether it is, you know, I don't know, teaching yoga, coaching, whatever it is, will become a limitation at some point. So, you know, those things that we've always done, I think it's always good to have a review, especially when you're in these sort of spaces, around what, you know, especially in our work as well, what feels heavy and what feels light. You know, what do I love about the work that I do, or the practices that I do, or whatever, and what feels, you know, does it still light me up? Am I still excited about it? Because if you're going to transform and inspire people, you've got to be excited about what it is you're doing. Because, you know, like I say, for what I was saying earlier, you know, I was getting completely bored with teaching how I was teaching, and I needed to change things up, because that's my nature. It's my nature to, you know, I do get bored. And if we're on paths of growth and change and transformation, which is what we're all doing, why would we want to stay the same? You know, it's a bit of a constriction. I'd be interested actually to know also what I was going to say about the masculine feminine exercise we did, and what you kind of learned from that. So what were the messages that came, what were the words that you know, resonated with the masculine and feminine? And maybe over lunch today, I keep looking at these clock, I'm not even kidding, right? 11:11, 12:12, 13:13, every freaking hour it's been that every time I've looked at the clock. Over lunch, you know, just again, maybe create a new affirmation that helps you trust in both, because tree pose is a great one for this actually. If we struggle to balance on the right, it can often mean that we don't trust the masculine to lean into. We don't trust the masculine to support us. If we don't balance well on the left, it can be that we don't trust the feminine to support us. Interestingly, this morning, in my own meditation this morning, notice where your posture is when you're sitting. I was leaning well into my right this morning, which is interesting for me because I don't really generally trust the masculine. But today I was like, oh, I'm leaning to the right. That's interesting, because that means I've moved a bit towards the masculine, the structure, the holding, the being able to accept support, rather than forever being, I'm over here in divine feminine chaos because I like it here and I feel safe here because I like to do what I want and I'm a free spirit and all that stuff. So the other thing also, and again, when you're holding space, this is really relevant as well. When you're sitting, am I leaning forward? Because I bet you do. Because again, this is this pushy pitter energy. Forward, forward, forward. I'm in control. I'm in control. I'm in control. And then can we like go, oh, I'm going to go back into baby kitten. Whew, I'm going to lay back. I'm going to lay back and I'm going to be open to what's next. I don't have to have a plan. I don't need, you know, FFO. I don't know if I said it last time. FFO. This is the message from the feminine. FFO. Fuck figuring it out. That's divine feminine in its absolute. That is divine feminine flow. Fuck figuring it out, because figuring it out is masculine. It's structure and it's brilliant, but it's only the dance floor. And feminine is the dance. Feminine is, let's sit and wait with, let's sit and stay with this for a bit longer. It feels uncomfortable because I don't know what I'm teaching here. And this was me this morning. I'll tell you now, this morning thinking, I am not quite sure I've got enough content here. I don't think there's quite enough. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing. Went for a walk, went out with a dog, and then it landed like that. And that's how divine feminine works. It works really, really last minute often. You know, if we're really in that flow, yes, we can have an idea, but we also have to be open to allowing that idea to change. You know, you'll know it if you teach yoga. You know, you've got a plan to do, I don't know, sun salutes, and somebody comes to class and they've done the back in. So that's not going to be working. That's not going to happen. And on your feet, all of a sudden, in that moment, you've got to think, right, okay, so let's do a sequence instead because the back's gone. We can't do that. You know, that is actually one of the, I think, one of the best traits of a woman is adaptability. We can adapt, can't we, to any situation. For many of us, and especially for sensitives, we are the chameleons. We are the ones who can adapt to any situation. You know, we can be, and we've learned to be often through our upbringings, you know, the ones who fit into every room, every situation. We can adapt ourselves, and that's a great gift. Yeah, it's a really good gift as well. All right, so it's 1:20. What would you like to do, girls? Would you like to have your dinner now, and or would you just like to have a pee break and a bit of movement, and then have dinner at 2? I'm really, really open to whatever. If you're feeling you're absorbed and you've absorbed enough this morning and you're ready for a break off screen, because I'm really aware of the screen situation, just unmute and let me know what you're feeling. Anybody?
I'd like to vote for dinner now.
Yeah, okay, that sounds like a good place to be. That sounds like a really good place to be. So if we break for dinner now, can you shake yourself into the kitchen? Just have a bit of a shakedown and move, get outside on the grass. We've got sunshine here. It's so nice. And yeah, again, be aware and of your energy field, because we've probably obviously moved a lot of energy this morning already. Take yourself outside, get on the grass, have a good shake out, dance, whatever your thing is that you like to do, just to move energy on, because we're going to gather again after lunch. And what I'd like to cover after lunch is opening and closing space, which we all probably know how to do that, but again, we're going to cover that and why that's important for those of you that don't know. We're going to do shares and timing shares, which is it's always one of the things in circle, and I think it's quite, it can be quite difficult to kind of gauge that. We're going to cover a victim archetype and suicide awareness, so we're going to cover them this afternoon as well. And then I'm going to take you through a future self-activation. So got lots to fit in still. I hope it, and if you've got any questions or I want to cover that and I could do to know more about that, just stick it in the WhatsApp group and I'll pick it up at dinner and I can address it after. So if there's any gaps and you think, I'd like to know that, or is she covering that, or she didn't cover that, or whatever, then just let me know and I'll pop it in after dinner. So it's 1:20, so let's gather back at 2:20. Have a nice, nourishing, grounding lunch. Rest your eyes, shake out, do what Caroline's doing there, twisting and getting everything moving, shaking, get your hips shaking. And I will see you after dinner. Have a beautiful, restful lunch, and I'll see you soon. Bye.